Oh, I'm on mute. Hi. Hello, everybody. How are we?
Hey, what's up? Good morning.
Good
What is up,
morning.
David? How are you, Cindy, Angela, Crystal, Davina, Grace, Ari, Conley, and Griffin? How are we all? And Greg. Forgot Greg. All right. Sounds good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started pretty soon. If you want to run out and grab like a drink of water, some caffeine, a little bit of a snack, that was a great opportunity to do that. And oops, that is not what I wanted. I'm trying to bring up my Excel spreadsheet. That's weird. Huh. That's weird. Uh-oh. I seem to not have... Huh. Well, today we are going to do our reporting for our numbers without the Excel spreadsheet because I lost it somehow. My computer crashed yesterday and I can't find it right now. So I'm sure I'll find it later. But for today, we will just go ahead and do it manually. All righty. Starting from Angela. How are you this morning? You there, Angela? All right. Cindy, are you there? Is anybody there?
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go. I was like, gosh, man.
You're like, is anybody there? Numbers. I'm sorry.
I feel so alone.
I did 7 and I connected with 4 so far.
7 connected with 4. Awesome. Any of them turn into some good conversations? Did you get any leads?
Yes, I'm happy that I'm taking this class again because I wanted to talk about the buyers and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of fear on their end and I'm trying to smooth it out per se or help them overcome that fear. And I'm like, listen, I'm just here to help you. I'm not here to push you to do anything you don't want to do. I'm here to guide you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
100%. That is the name of the game. So good job. Awesome. Thank you, Cindy. David Baharo.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool. So I reached out to 10 people on Zillow and I had 3. I didn't get any phone conversations for some reason out of the 10, but I did get like 3 of them in a text conversation that kind of lasted all day. And then 2 of them they said they're not, I try to get, I try to put my foot through the door saying, if I could see the home before, I bring them a buyer. And they said that they're not allowing people to go see the home, that they can send me a video like that they recorded. And I'm like, oh shit, well, I can't do nothing with that, right? And then I kind of just, said, oh, I normally like to meet the owner, see what your goals are, to see how I can help you accomplish, and then I put example, if you have a certain time frame that, you need to sell the home by. And then I would just ask little questions like, do you still live in the home, or where are you off to when the home sells, things like that. Right. But nothing that I can, walk in through the door and see the property or anything like that. But they did answer some questions, which is good. And I'm gonna follow up probably today, like at 1 or 2.
Awesome. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Very good, man. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, sometimes Zillow kind of behaves that way and it's a little funky. Hold on, I just got a text from our broker. Sorry about that. Awesome. Good job, David. Just so you know, everybody, I posted in the chat box the material for today's lesson. So feel free to go into the chat box and click on that so we can follow along together. Okay, let's see who's next. Angela Cross, are you there? You might be on mute. All right, moving on. Greg, how are you, bud?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How was your last couple days?
It's been okay. I reached out to 6 different people that I don't know through Mojo, and I was able to get one on the phone, but she wasn't really interested. She said that she wasn't the owner of the house, and I didn't really actually know what to say to that. So I just told her, have a great day. And I had another conversation through text message from one of those people I reached out to. And he was actually a contractor. And he just said, if I have any clients to bring them his way, and he would do the same thing, vice versa. But that was really it with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So whenever like I get in contact with somebody who's not the owner, what I'll typically do is I'll just go, okay, that's really cool. Do you have any real estate needs that I could help you with? And so that sounds like where the conversation went anyway. So that's awesome. Good stuff.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. She didn't really seem like she wanted to talk to me, but I would have still said that if I would have known to say that.
Sure. No worries. And you know what, frankly, let's be honest, it's cold calling. So,
Yeah.
if we got somebody who's like, oh my gosh, I was waiting for this call all day. Thank you for calling me. Oh my gosh. That would be a shocker for me. I've never had that.
And it was my first cold call, so it was cool. It was whatever.
So yeah, don't worry. We're going to get that. It's okay. The way I look at cold calling, it's like those little like pop-up ads for stuff that you've been looking at on Amazon.
Yep.
You're calling until you get that one person who is actually like, you know what, I was thinking about selling. And so that's why I think it's so effective. Now, on the flip side, if you're really good at cold calling, you're able to build rapport with the person over the phone, and put them into a CRM and continuously follow up with them. But the way I kind of practically look at
for me, I think it's just gonna take a little while to get comfortable and just like, more confident and just having those like conversations. So it'll come, but yeah, I wasn't that good on the phone yesterday.
No worries, man. Hey, listen.
But I also know that it's a numbers game, like I know that it's a numbers game in this business. So, that's why I'm not taking any of that personal. If they don't want to talk to me, cool, let me get on to the next person, because I know, once I reach 30 or 40 people, I'm going to get one person that I'm going to be able to, get out of that.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. And so what I wanted to, touch upon is, ideally, we get people who are ready, willing, and able, to sell when we're calling. But, a lot of them are just going to be like, oh gosh, not really. And then that's what I take it as an opportunity to be like, okay, well, not a problem. Well, I also see that you live in, that area. And, I'll say something like, I have a lot of information for the area. I do like a monthly newsletter. Could I get your email? And, maybe I can send you some cool stuff. It's not necessarily real estate related. It's, oftentimes new restaurants that are opening up in the area, interesting news that are happening. For example, I like Bel Air a lot. So for example, I'll give them like updates on what's happening at the Glen Market, what's happening at Vibrato Grill, Stuff that's really pertinent to that specific region. And, fun events that are maybe happening at UCLA when there's not a, deadly pandemic going around. So, keep that in mind. So when you're cold calling,
In your
you can,
experience, are they receptive to that?
hell yeah. I mean, heck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I do this class. I can talk for hours on end. So, for me, talking to people is not a big deal. It's my superpower. So I think that maybe that's why. But at the same time, Greg, I have to be honest, when I first started cold calling, it went something like, hi, this is hi, this is Keller Williams. I mean, I'm Jared. Hi. Who's this? Sorry. And so I totally, get not being perfect when you're first starting to cold call, because it is a little bit nerve wracking. It's like, oh gosh, I'm going to get rejected. It's like, I hate to use this as an example, but I find it very similar. It's like when you're single and you see a pretty person at the other end of the bar and you want to talk to them. And, you gotta have to, if you haven't really talked to people, randomly before, it might come out a little bit awkward at first. It might be, hi, I'm Jared, but eventually it's like, hey, how's your day going? Oh, cool, nice. Hey, what brings you out over here? So when I'm cold calling, I look at it kind of similar to that. I'm giving a call. I'm like, hi, this is Jared Medlinski with Keller Williams. How's your day going? I'm like, oh, pretty good. Great. Awesome. Well, listen, I just wanted to give you a call. I see that you live in the Bel Air area. I work in that area. I've sold a few properties over on Linda Flora. And listen, I got a lot of people who are interested in buying houses in your neighborhood. Do you know any of your neighbors who are thinking of possibly buying, selling, or investing into real estate? And then they go, oh, well, actually, and I try to stay silent at that point and let them really kind of think about it. And then after that, we're just kind of having a normal conversation. If they completely say no, it's like, oh, okay, well, fair enough. Well, how's your day going? While I got you on the phone. Oh, it's going okay, I guess. And it's like, yeah, cool. How you dealing with this whole pandemic thing? Oh gosh, it's been pretty nuts. I have to admit. Oh, I understand. Is everybody in your household staying healthy? Oh yeah, well, I guess. Well, listen, I'd be happy to drop off some, PPE for you if you'd like. I have quite a bit extra, so I also in part of looking for business for my sellers, I like to kind of just help out with help out with the neighborhood if I can. And so my point is eventually, like, you're going to get good at it, so you're able to have these conversations that stem from nothing. It's just a phone call. So eventually you'll get it. And you're very personable, Greg. So I think you'll be doing just fine. So keep at it. Good job.
Cool. I actually had another question though, real quick.
Sure. Oh, by the way, how many calls did you make again?
6 of them.
6. And how many contact?
2.
Okay. And yes, your question.
So for the people that I can't get on the phone, some people just prefer text message. How do you approach that? So what I did was I just said hello and I said their name and I put question mark and I kind of waited to see if they would respond to that, and then I would kind of go into something else. But a friend of mine who's also an agent in another state, he recommended me just kind of going into a whole script, right off the bat. And I didn't know if that was just too aggressive. Should I just say their hello and wait for them to respond first? What do I do?
Yeah. So
how do I get them to engage through text message?
Okay. So let's role play this out real quick. So Greg, you are calling me and you're cold calling me. So do exactly what you're saying you do.
You put me on the spot.
Absolutely. That's what we're doing here. We're all learning. So ring, ring, ring. Hello.
Hi, is this Jared?
Who's this?
Hi, this is Greg. I'm a new agent in the area from Beverly Hills, Keller Williams.
I just hung up on you.
Yeah, because I mean, come on, you put me on the spot.
Now, I'm going to do this back to you and tell me if it feels a little bit different.
All right.
So say ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
And you say hello. Say hello, like as if you pick up the phone. Greg?
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, hey, Greg, this is Jared Medlinski with Keller Williams Beverly Hills. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm really good. Listen, Greg, I don't want to take too much of your time. I have a couple people that I sold a few houses to in your neighborhood. I was just wondering if you had a quick second to have a quick chat about the market and what's going on, and if you know any of your neighbors who are interested in possibly selling. I have quite a few buyers who are interested in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I have a couple of minutes.
Sure. Well, listen, like I said, I sold 2201 Linda Flora. It was brand new construction, gorgeous home. They have a budget of around $4.8 million. They're very interested in the Bel Air area. Frankly, it's a slam dunk. They're pre-approved, all that fun stuff. Do you know anybody, any of your neighbors who have been talking about selling possibly? Have you thought of selling? I'd love to take a look at your property if you have some time.
Okay, can we just redo that? But I should have just said, like, I don't really have time right now, or I'm not interested.
Sure. But the point that I'm trying to get at is you want to identify who you are when you're calling them. Because when somebody calls me and they don't identify who they are, I want to get off the phone real quick. I just feel like it's a spam solicitation. And
Right.
we are soliciting them, and frankly, but by identifying who you are, it kind of disarms them a little bit. They're like, oh, I'm not worried about it. For example, half the time my phone rings, I think it's some like contact tracer to be like, you have coronavirus, and I'm freaked the F out. I'm like, oh my gosh. Or like, I think maybe I'm getting sued for the first time in real estate. Like, I don't know who's calling me, or I think it's somebody trying to sell me, whatever, something that I don't need for my business. So my point is when you're doing cold calling, and I think this is what your friend was trying to say, who's in another state, is that you should identify yourself and get into somewhat of the script, because it disarms them a little bit. Because when people get a call from a number that they're not familiar with, they're already getting ready to hang up the phone. And
Right.
if it's something that they really, really don't want to deal with, they're going to hang up. So my point is also that if we are calling a homeowner, who doesn't want to know how much their house is worth? I mean, really, like, think about it. Like, if I own a house and I've invested this much money into it, and the market is as crazy as it is right now, why wouldn't they want to have a quick conversation with a realtor? And so sometimes it's also your mindset going into it, but definitely identify who you are up front. And frankly, sometimes I will go, "Hi, is this Greg?" Really quick, like right off the bat, and they'll go, "Yeah, yes." I'll be like, "Hey, Greg, listen, I was just calling because I'm a real estate agent in the neighborhood. I've sold a few of your neighbors' homes. Sorry about that if you like them. Congratulate me if you didn't. But listen, I just wanted to have a quick chat with you. Do you know anybody who's looking to take advantage of the opportunities presented in today's market?" And my point that I'm trying to get at is when you identify yourself as being friendly and not really, whatever, that they're more likely to kind of get into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Is that my connection or is that your connection?
It's his connection.
Okay.
I have a question since his connection's a little cut off.
Yes.
Oh,
Go for it.
is it not mine?
Yeah, I think it's yours, Greg. Maybe sign
Okay,
off.
I'm gonna log off and come back on.
Yeah, I think that.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I had a question.
All right.
What do you do when someone, like, how do you handle when they like, who are you? Like, how did you get my number?
Oh, sure. Hey, Cindy, this is Jared Medlinski. I'm a real estate agent in Beverly Hills with Keller Williams. I got your number from public records.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like do they change their
Sometimes.
vibe after that, or like
Sometimes I don't.
they tell you like, don't call me again. I don't want to be called. I don't want to be.
Sometimes they do.
And what do you? And you're like, okay, thank you, bye.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me make sure I take you off my list. I apologize. But hey, before I go, do you know anybody who's interested in buying something?
Okay. By then, that's if they didn't hang up on you or not.
Yeah, everybody likes somebody with a little bit of chutzpah, like as we say in the Jewish religion. Guts. It means like guts. Somebody
Okay.
who has, I think, gusto. But in any way, yeah, and listen, I don't want to like BS it to everybody on here, you're going to get some people who are not happy to hear from you. And that is okay. That's their issue, not your issue. I remember once I was door knocking in, it was like the Westwood area. It's kind of West LA, kind of near Rancho Park, if you're familiar with it, near the West Side Pavilion. And I'm door knocking, and I knock on this gentleman's door. I'm Jewish, by the by, and he has a mezuzah on the door, which is something that Jewish people put on their door. It's a religious thing. Anyway, and so I knew he was Jewish, and so I knock on the door, and he goes, "Hello," and he answers the door all friendly, and I'm like, "Hi, sir. My name's Jared Malinsky. I'm a real estate agent in the neighborhood. I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know that I have a listing coming up just down the street." And he goes, "Oh gosh, I thought you were one of my neighbors. I'm sorry. I have a real job, so bye." And he just slams the door in my face.
Oh.
And I was so mad. I was so angry. And I was with my dear friend Sharon, who's in our office, who's awesome. If once things are open again, I highly recommend introducing yourself to her. She's really just a sweetheart, and I love her to death. And a very good agent too. In any event, I was like, "Oh my God, can you believe that guy?" And she was like, "Yeah, he's a jerk. Blah, 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 blah." And, but at the same time, I think she said something like, "You can't let it get to you, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "You're right, you're right, you're right." And I was door knocking, and I was going by the house again. And I was like, "I'm not going to knock on that guy's door." And I said to myself, "What am I talking about? Of course I'm going to go knock on that guy's door." So I walk up to the door again. This is, by the way, after this guy said, excuse me, I have a real job.
Yeah.
I knock on his door again, and I'm like, "Hey, sir, how are you today?" And he's like, "Hi." I'm like, "I'm the gentleman who knocked on your door a couple weeks ago. Hey, I just want to let you know we did actually sell that house. We sold it for over asking. Originally, we got offers at 1.2 million, and we sold it for 1.7. And I just wanted to let you know." And he's like, "Oh, wow." I'm like, "Yeah. So, if you're ever curious about selling, I'd love to have that conversation with you." It's like, "Hey, listen, I want to apologize, how I was acting. I was just having a really bad day, and I was dealing with a lot of stuff." And I was like, "Listen, I understand. And, listen, it's almost Shabbat, and, I Shabbat Shalom, and I hope you're having a good day. And, no worries. But, listen, if you ever think of, selling, let me know." He's like, "Well, actually, I'm renting this place." And I was like, "Well, maybe you'll end up wanting to buy someday." And, we got through it. And the point and the reason why I'm telling you this story is that we don't know why people are acting that way. We don't know why they're in a bad mood. They could have lost a family member. They could have just gone through a divorce. They could, we don't know what's happening in their life. But when somebody whenever we're dealing with people, we have options. We could be a jerk, or we can be kind. And if somebody makes the conscious decision to be rude, that's not a reflection of us. That's a reflection of something that's going on in their life. So don't let it get you down, is what I'm trying to get at. And, make it into a game. Turn these unfortunate, annoyances into something that's funny. "Oh, wow, I'm glad I don't live their life." Does that make sense, Cindy?
Completely. And I love that you had like a total Julia Roberts pretty woman moment.
Oh yeah.
Like
Absolutely,
that's like
big
amazing. I
mistake.
love it.
Big mistake. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And because you know what? Listen, a lot of people will look at us realtors like we're, just salespeople. Well, let me tell you, I know a lot of realtors who make a lot more money than their clients. And frankly, it's kind of funny, and they can think whatever they want to think while we drive off in our Jaguars and nice cars.
I love it.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, so don't let it discourage you. Get out there. The more we practice, the better we will become, and stay after it. Okay, moving forward, I'm going to go on to Angela's busy, Crystal's busy, Greg we just talked with, Diana.
I can talk now.
Oh, hey, Angela, how goes it?
Fine.
Tell me, how was your last couple of days? And how was your calls? How was your contacts?
I only reached. I just have like my one buyer. She reached. I don't know. I didn't make any calls. Just my one little buyer that's doesn't respond half the time.
No worries. All good.
Mhm.
Keep after it. Keep after it. You know, it's the name of the game. It's a numbers game. So try to up those numbers if we can. You know, I did, my numbers were, I have them over here. 16, 12, and 2 appointments. Now, do you think that number 16 was me cold calling, you know, all day? No, it wasn't. It was me just having conversations with my friends and family in my everyday day-to life. So I think we would be surprised at how many opportunities we really do have to have these conversations with people about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So try to keep that in mind. You know, we make it into this very difficult thing very often, and I'm not talking about you necessarily, Angela. I'm talking about myself. I turn it into this complicated, like I need to block out, you know, 2 hours every single day and just hit the phones hard. And yeah, I probably should. But the point is even when we don't succeed in that, we still have opportunities to lead generate, whether that is just talking with our friends on Instagram or Facebook or on the phone or calling a family member or getting a call from a service person, a service provider. You know, you could turn that person into a contact. You know, this girl from a photography company, she set up a Zoom meeting with me when in the early stage of the pandemic, and we were having a nice chat. We're having a good conversation. I was like, you know, listen, I took this meeting out of a courtesy. I thought there was something else that you were going to say, that you have something new. I already use your company, and you know, I really appreciate it. But hey, listen, you know, and she said that she lives in, you know, Hollywood. I was like, but hey, listen, you know, maybe one day you'd like to grab a drink or something. Met up for drinks, and I got her a lease. So, you know, my point is you never know who could turn into a client, or you know, even create a friendship of some sorts. So yeah, so it doesn't always have to be just like hardcore like lead generation, but always remember, always be closing. Anyway.
Look, I have a question.
Yes.
Because I don't want to ask anyone at my job, but do you think like it is appropriate? I deal with patients and physicians. Do you think it's appropriate if if I'm having a conversation with them and I network with them, or is that like?
Well, what do you do? Let me ask you that.
Like I'm a physician's billing coordinator. I'm the liaison between patients and like the physicians.
Okay.
So like,
I would say it depends on the situation. If it's you know, a really grave matter and you know, they just got diagnosed with cancer, maybe not ask, oh, are you thinking of selling your house, by the way? But you know, if it's, you know, light and, you know, fluffy or whatever, and you know, you get into like a little bit of small talk, I don't see anything wrong with sliding in the fact that you're in real estate.
Like if they ask how's your day, if you ask them, you know, oh, you know, I do really sit on the side, I'm busy all day or something.
Yep, that's a great example, David.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
because I'm like, is that like against? Is that against the hospital rules? Like in meetings when we have our like group meetings and stuff, our department meetings, I've mentioned it a couple of times. But I'm like, as far as patients are concerned, I'm like, I wonder would I get in trouble? Like, it's not HIPAA violation. Like, I'm just like, I wonder would I get in trouble for like soliciting?
I don't think so, because if you ask them, just everybody wants to talk about real estate. And then since the market right now is so hot, that's a great way for you to break the ice with them. And then you can be like, oh, by the way, if you need any type of property, or if you're looking for anything, please feel free, because I am your concierge. I can even help you with that.
Okay.
That's how I word it.
I like that. I wouldn't cross the two. Like, I wouldn't say I am your concierge, but I like what you're saying though, Cindy.
You see where I'm going with it, right?
Yes, yeah. I think that David and Cindy are absolutely right, Angela.
Mhm.
So like, if you're having a conversation with them, like blah, 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 so how's your day going? And then they ask you how your day's going, you go, oh gosh, busy, busy. I'm also a real estate agent. So I do this, but I also do real estate. And gosh, my client is driving me through the roof. No, I'm just kidding. They're great. But yeah, no, my day's going well. Hey, listen, if you need anything in real estate, also happy to give you my card. You can definitely slide that in there. And I would say though, in a professional setting, make sure you're doing your job first. And then
Mhm.
if they decide to continue that conversation, there's no problem with that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Very cool. Awesome, Angela.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Cheers. All right. Ari Salinas,
Yes, I'm here.
how are you, bud?
Been good. How are you?
I'm great. How have you been?
I've been good. Kind of slow this week. But adding on to like what Angela was saying, it's like I did get one of my leads. I work as a receptionist at a hotel, and then I kind of brought like me being into real estate to one of like the guests that we had, and we did exchange numbers. I did feel kind of like I'm not gonna say like guilty for having a business inside the business, but just because it's like it didn't, those that wasn't like my intentions. It's like the conversation just kind of came up. But I talked to 6 people. I have 2 leads, but one of them is not a lead anymore, so I lost one. But yeah, I had one meeting with someone.
Nice.
Yeah. Like
What happened with the one that you lost?
so that one um it was like kind of complicated because it was like someone that had let's say like feelings for me like a while ago, and it's like I thought that had like kind of ended, like it wasn't, I never like let anything on, but it was just like a touchy thing. But we had made it like, to clear that we were going to talk about like real estate. He wants to move out in like the near future, but somehow that turned into a date, which was not my intentions at all. So I just kind of didn't know how to get out of that like little situation, and it was just like very uncomfortable. It was yeah, it was just very uncomfortable for a bit, but we'll see if
Yes. So Aria, I'm glad that you brought that up. Guys and girls, I always like to say, keep in mind who's trying to date you and who's trying to sell or buy real estate with you. Sometimes we will all get kind of bothered by some people who are not taking us professionally, our profession seriously. And I myself have had guys and girls, act like they want to buy a house through me, and it turns out they don't have any interest in doing that. So always keep that in mind. And I always just go, oh, thank you so much. I have a girlfriend. Sorry. But yeah, we get that a lot in our industry. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But it sounds like you handle it well, Ari. Good stuff. Good job. Awesome. Okay, let us go to Diana Munoz.
Hey, Jared.
How are you, my dear?
Good. I came back after the new year, and now you're like in, what is this, session number 6, 7?
All good. Hey, there's always a good place to start. How have you been? What's new? What's the story, Morning Glory?
So I officially met up with Josh yesterday, had my like informational interview with him, or like official interview, and I'm hoping to be officially like signed to KW Beverly Hills starting February 1st. Yeah. And
Yay.
Griffin, who's also on the call or in the meeting, is also, we're part of the same team with Rod Watson.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're both like team, Watson group, and we're here learning, trying to absorb as much information as we can. But for now, as a team, we're working on our business plans. Everyone has to report a business plan by February 1st. And I'm also working on curating a list, just like an Excel spreadsheet of everyone that I know. I'm going through my LinkedIn, just writing down everyone's names, numbers, like just social media handles so that I can start reaching out. Like once February 1st hits, like I can go ahead and make it official and say, hey everyone, surprise, like I'm in the business now. You all have real estate needs. I am here to help.
Yep, absolutely. And Rod is awesome. I don't know him personally, but I've kind of scooped him out on his Instagram, and he does an amazing job. And what I'd like to, and I'm making an inference. I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling Rod is the one asking you to do a business plan and write down all your contacts and stuff.
Well, he's yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the one who's asking for everyone to do a business plan because we have a team business plan and then we have our individual business plan.
Yep.
But yeah, he's doing that. He told everyone to do that. But me, I'm just trying to get myself organized since I don't have command yet and I can't input. I'm eventually going to have to export or like import the context over to the command system. But that's just what I'm doing just so I can get something going because I'm personally not a cold caller. I've done it before. I've used Mojo Dialer and Hub Dialer.
Yeah.
I've done it before and yeah, I've gotten those weird calls and some really good calls too, but not for real estate. It was for something else.
Cool. Nice. I love it. The point that I was going to make though, is that I promise you somebody like Rod or, a top producing agent has no problem going through a Rolodex or their cell phone and just calling people at will. Like, hey, what's up? It's Rod. Just wanted to, contact and say hi, how you doing? Or me, I'll be like, hey, what's up? It's Jared. Just wanted to hit you up and see how everything's going. And so my point is when you are performing at a high level, you're like, they want to hear from me. Like, there's no fear involved in that. And I want to like really drive that across to everybody. Don't be scared to reach out to people. I promise you, if there's somebody who you haven't talked to in a long time, they're going to be thrilled to hear from you. I promise you. And I guarantee you that they're probably going, I wonder how that person's doing. So always keep that in mind. Never be afraid to go out and reach out to people in your sphere, in your family, in your friendships, and talk about business. The way I look at it is, it's like we're so happy to post these things about celebrities and quotes from celebrities and all this stuff on our Instagrams, but we don't post anything about our friends' businesses. It's kind of weird, right? I promise those celebrities don't give two craps about us, but we're talking about them 24/7. So my point is get in the habit of talking to your friends, talking to your family, talking to these people, because you're a celebrity in their life. I promise you, and they're going to want to hear from you. So anyway, little side note, but very good, Diana. Did you have any numbers that you want to report, or you're still kind of you're just getting back on the swing of things?
Yeah, no numbers.
All good, my dear. All good. Very good. Good job. And is Griffin with you, or I don't see a Griffin on my screen?
Yeah,
I'm right here.
Oh, you're up there. Oh, you are a Griffin. Okay. Hey, Griffin, how are you, bud?
I'm good. How are you, Jared?
I'm really, really good. I just got your friend request, I believe, now that I'm looking at your picture.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. I will add you in a second. Or I did add you. Okay. Nice to have you. Griffin, do you have any numbers that you want to report?
I've been calling like Facebook buyer leads that we've gotten, and I've made about 5 calls, and I've only really gotten one person to answer and talk to me so far. So
Sure.
Your advice when you were talking to Greg earlier was actually pertinent to myself as well. So appreciated that.
Cheers, bud. Absolutely. Anytime. Good job. Good to have you on the call. Okay. Conley.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, bud.
Perfect.
How was your last couple of days? Do you have any numbers you want to report?
My last couple days have gone well. I don't have any numbers to report, but I have been talking to some people at work, just kind of letting them know that I'm getting into real estate, and I am also starting February 1st. So just kind of getting my name out there. Everyone knows at work now that I'm going into real estate, so that's exciting.
That's the trick. Awesome, man. Good job. Good job. All right. And I believe the last one that we got is Saren.
Hi,
How are you, my dear?
thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Do you have any numbers to report?
Yeah, like not calls, but when I see like family members, friends, I let them know. It was 3, right now 4 buyers I have. Like nobody have really rush and nobody's like anything, but
You know, it's interesting. The housing market is it is competitive right now, and there's not a lot of houses on the market. So I hear you. It's a long haul with buyers, but you know, sometimes, for example, I'm expecting that I'm going to be writing an offer for a property in Santa Barbara, of all places, and I think I'm just a little bit lucky, or my communications expectations that I've given to this buyer has been really good because they're ready to write offers on the first couple houses that we've seen. So that's great. But yeah, I will say on the flip side, I have a few buyers who they were really interested before, and then now they're just like,
they usually say, "Oh, I always check on Redfin, and then there's nothing I'm interested in. If you see something off market, let us know." Or they say, "Oh, like we heard prices going to go down, so like we can take it a little slow."
who's saying that?
Almost all of the people.
Yeah,
I get that a lot too. It's so weird because I feel like you just can't change somebody's mind about that. Like I even do it to my friends that come over and they say the same thing and it gets me so frustrated.
Listen, I mean, a lot of people think that they're putting microchips in vaccines. And every single time I try to talk to them about that, I'm like, dude,
That's hilarious.
nobody's putting freaking microchips in there. Like, fine, you might not want to take the vaccine. I can appreciate that. But no person's putting a microchip in a vaccine. I'm really, really sorry. So you're right. Some people want to believe whatever the heck they want to believe. It's a comforting feeling to believe that prices are going to go down. I'm going to tell you all right now, I promise you, prices are not going anywhere. Until we see inventory bump up considerably, and until we see interest rates bump up considerably, we're not going to see prices going down. Our inventory is too low. Interest rates are too low. They're not going down. They're not going anywhere. And if you look at a 10-year, overall, of what's happened, or shit, if you look at, excuse my French, if you look at a 20-year overall, what's happened if you go to 50 years, the prices always go up. Like it's a constant, consistent, up. There may be a point where it dips a little bit, but it's going right back up. And so I don't know what they're waiting for. Frankly, I'm going to be honest. I really don't. We might see what happens in Los Angeles. We don't see on the national average, you might see something like something like that. Yeah, there was a little bit of a dip over here. But if you look at the Los Angeles average, it's going stable, up, stable, up. It doesn't do this dip thing. Like it really doesn't. And what kind of dip are we talking about though? In Los Angeles, you're looking at a $4 million house, maybe it'll go down to 3.9. Maybe. If somebody can afford a $4 million house, I don't think they're really, crying over, 50,000 here, 100,000 there. Like, it's pretty much within the same realm. Now, granted, 100,000 is $100,000, but that's a big dip, even there. So, I mean, we likely won't even see that. And then if we're talking about houses in like the sub $1 million range, maybe 15,000 here, like 20,000 there, like it's really not gonna like crash. Like even when we had a big market crash, houses were still selling, like condos were still selling in the millions. So I mean, I find that a little bit suspicious. And the point that I'm trying to bring that up is for David and Saren. I would say that's fascinating. I do this as a living professionally, and all the information that I have is predictions is that prices are going to go up by 3% in 2021 and then an additional 1% in 2022 respectively. And the only reason why it's going up 1% in 2022 is because we're expecting interest rates to finally start to increase. So I'm just curious, who's telling you and giving you this expert advice that I'm not privy to? Put it back on them. Be like, who? I'm just curious. Like, honestly, like, this is what I do for a living. If you have some like nugget of gold that I'm not aware of, I want to know it. Like, somebody's telling you that prices are going to go down. What do they do for a living? Oh, they're a mechanic. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Makes sense, but I'm brand new agent, so I didn't want to sound like I'm just trying to make it.
Oh, no worries. No, Sharon, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying like, oh, you did anything wrong or anything like that. What I'm just saying is feel free to push back, and just kind of go, interesting. Where are you getting that information from? Because I'm curious. And they go, what do you mean? It's like, well, I do this professionally, and everything that I'm looking at is showing that prices are going to continue to rise. So if you have some information that I'm not aware of, I'd love to hear it, because that'll give me an inside scoop, and see what they say. Because oftentimes you'll find that they're getting their information from their brother's friend who has an aunt who does real estate in Michigan. And it's like, okay, how does that affect the price of tea in China? Like, it has nothing to do with it. So, oftentimes I like to press that way, in a nice way and in a very respectful way. And that's why I say, listen, I'm just generally curious, because everything that I'm looking at says it's going to do this, and I do this professionally. So I'm just curious, if you have a source that's credible, I'm very fascinated to find out, what it is. But again, everybody, there's some weird times right now. And a lot of people hold on to a lot of beliefs for whatever reasons. I just had a conversation with somebody talking about hydroxychloroquine, and she's a big time Trump supporter. And I'm not going to talk about that's wrong or right or whatever. You like whatever you like in politics. That's fine by me. But she was talking about how there's a conspiracy that the medical companies want people to do vaccines because it's $1 trillion industry, and that nobody can get hydroxychloroquine. And then in the same breath, she said all of her friends have gotten hydroxychloroquine and it costs $15 a pop. Well, I had to remind her that the vaccine is free. Hydroxychloroquine costs money, and you're saying that it's a conspiracy for the people to get this big money in vaccinations, when there's a drug that they charge money for. And they're all like, my point is it made no sense. And like, I had to like kind of spell it out for her, and she eventually was just like, oh, I'm totally like one of those like, in the conspiracy theory people, aren't I? I'm like, yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. I still love you. But, my point is things are weird right now. And, for some reason, I think people are going to hold on to comforting beliefs. If they want to believe that prices are going to go down, you might not be able to change their mind. But it is our job as realtors and as fiduciaries to point out, with the information that we have, that might not be the case. And that
that's exactly what people want to get a hold of or stay a hold of is with their comforting beliefs. Because I have a hard time explaining to people what's going on in the market, because most of my friends are 5, 10, 15 years older than I am. And they will always think they know more than I do, because I'm younger.
And you know what? They might think that, but that just means you're going to hustle harder and prove them wrong. And, it's the truth. Some of the most successful real estate agents, much more successful than myself or a lot of people that I know, are younger than I am. And because they don't have these limiting beliefs, they're just like, I'm going to go after it. I'm going to get my unfair share. Who cares if I'm younger? And, they just go after it. And sure enough, like, they impress people. People are impressed by their know-how and their wherewithal, and they put a lot of faith in them. So, get after it, y'all. We can do it. And always remember, if somebody's saying that they have information that you don't have, I'm curious where they got it. Genuinely, because if it's credible and I can use it to yes. Somebody said my name.
That was me. That was Crystal Allen. So I have a really quick question. I don't necessarily, I guess, run into that per se, But it is really hard to find what people want on the market. So it's forcing them to look out further. But anyway, that's neither here nor there of the question that I actually want to ask you. What I wanted to ask you was about farming. Does farming help? And who do you guys farm with? Because my previous farm was with Fidelity Total Farm. So I just kind of wanted to know, like, what farm are you guys using right now?
So for everybody on the call, a farm is a geographic area that we hyper focus on for our sales. Or farm could be a social farm. It could be a it could be your PTA if you're a parent. It could be a networking group. It could be, so farm, I just want to be very clear. The term farm is a geographic area, a social group, or an institution that you use as a source for lead generation. Now, what Crystal is referring to is a title company, and who are you getting your information for your geographic farm? So Fidelity Title is who she was using previously. Crystal, I like to use First American Title. They have a very robust title toolbox, so to speak. However, if you feel comfortable with whatever title rep you feel comfortable with, is going to have more or less the same information. First American Title is one of the biggest title rep companies. So for example, I use Corinth Title occasionally, but it's underwritten by First American Title. So even though it says Corinth, it's actually First American. So anyway, my point is I always just say, go to the title rep that you feel the most comfortable with, and gives you the best information. And from what I understand, Lauren Goldman and his sub title rep agent, Alyssa, are very, very good at helping you out with finding all the pertinent information that you need. So I recommend them. But then again, you might have a title rep who goes the extra mile and does some things that they might not, really supposed to do. And they might give you very, very specific information for what you're looking for and do a little bit more. So it really depends on who you feel comfortable with. I hope that helps answer.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And what were you saying before originally? Because I wanted to touch upon that when we first.
Just about like how people are paranoid, just kind of piggybacking off pretty much what everyone else has said in terms of in regards to like the vaccine. And so and with homes not being available on the market, and so it's pushing people out into areas that they don't necessarily want to be in, but it's kind of the sacrifice they have to make to actually find a home.
Yes, and that is very, very true. Another trick that I like to use, and I find that some of the best deals that you will find when you're representing a buyer is that home that's been sitting on the market for 60 days. Why is that home sitting on the market for 60 days, everybody? Why do we think?
It's overpriced.
Angela said it right there. It's overpriced. So that means, and then also, why is that home no longer getting so much traction? So maybe they had like 20 showings in the first weekend. Sure, it's overpriced. Why aren't they getting as much traction now? Because it's been on the market.
Did a price reduction and now they're.
The main thing I want to focus on is that it's been on the market for a while. Oh. When you see a home that's been on the market for a while, what's your first impression? Something's wrong with it. What's wrong with this house? Why isn't it sold? Oh, let's skip it. No. There's probably something weird. Maybe somebody died in the property. I don't know. Let's not even go to it. Maybe the neighborhood that. Fine, it might say it's in a good neighborhood. It seems like it's in the neighborhood that we want, but it's probably one of those like weird pockets that like, has like a really bad, neighbors and the lawns are whatever. I'm making up stuff. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that those properties are actually the ones that I like my buyers to focus on. And in fact, I'll focus on for them because sometimes it'll be slightly outside their price range because it's overpriced. and I will go ahead and contact the agent and go, hey, how many offers do you have? Blah, 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 blah. And if it sounds like the agent realizes it's overpriced, if it sounds like it's just been sitting there because it's not marketed well, I will send that to my client and go, hey, listen, I know that this is $50,000 outside your budget, but I'd like us to take a look at it just for fun. And I won't tell them like my whole spiel and reasoning why. If they do ask, I will tell them, and I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking at the home. It's been on the market for 60, 75 days, whatever. They're not selling. I promise you, they're not getting any requests for showings right now. Let's go take a look at it. Let's see if you like it. If you like it, I'll go and do my thing and we'll start negotiating. And that's where I've found, you know, on average, unfortunately, I'm such a good agent that I double end a lot of my listings. So my sales price, if you look at my numbers, it says I get on average 0.03% below list price for my buyers. Well, I'm also double ending a lot of those deals. So I have a buyer on that side. So really, if you take those deals out, I get about 6%, 5 to 6% below list price. So the reason why I'm able to get that is I found a lot of properties. For example, 2 of the properties that I represented buyers on this summer were on the market for 45 days plus. And so when I contacted the listing agent, I said, listen, my client loves it. We're gonna write an offer, and I think it's gonna be great. So I write the offer, I do the comps, I realize it's, you know, overpriced by, you know, $20,000, $30,000. I go back to the agent and I have a long conversation with them on the phone, and I go, and I'm basically coaching the agent as to what to say to their clients. Mr. and Mrs. Agent, I thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate this. You know, I really want to, you know, first let you know that my clients love this property. However, you know, you as well as you know as well as I do that there are other options, you know, in the community. These were both condos that I'm referring to. That said, my client loves this property because of, and I'm going to use a very specific example right now, because of the outside patio. It's one of the bigger ones in the community. They were hoping for one of the penthouse units that has an even bigger patio, but you know, frankly, they need to move. That said, I'm sure you're aware of this property that's on the market right now for $30,000 less than yours. Yeah, I'm aware of it. And I'm sure you're also aware that it's only been on the market for about 5 days. Yeah, I'm aware. Okay, so I'm trying to convince my client to write an offer on your property, and I did. But I'd like you to hear me out really quickly, and I don't want you to be insulted with this offer. We're offering, you know, $30,000 below list price, but I want you to keep in mind though that we're only offering this because it seems to be what's fair market value for the property. And you know, I hope your client isn't insulted by it. You know, if we could come up, we would. You know, frankly, you know, it just doesn't make sense, and we're a little bit concerned about the appraisal. And eventually that, you know, that agent talks back with me and blah, 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 blah. And I go, well, listen, you know, the longer they stay on the market, the more mortgage payments they're going to have to pay. And if it looks like you're going to end up spending another 2 months on the market, just trying to find that, you know, extra $30,000, you know, that's $6,000, you know, $12,000. And eventually you're going to get to the point where if you just accepted our offer, it would have been, you know, what you would have gotten months from now. So I've already reviewed title. I see how much they owe on the property. You know, maybe you can talk with your clients and you know, maybe they'll accept this offer. And sure as heck, they usually do. So what I like to do with those buyers who are priced out of a neighborhood, I try to get them to look at the price at the houses that are overpriced, because sometimes, you know, we don't know what the conversation is behind the scenes with the seller. And oftentimes the seller will go, I don't want you to lower the price of the property, but I will accept, you know, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 below list price if we get that offer. And why is that happening? Because even though us as agents are recommending something for our clients, that doesn't mean they're going to listen, unfortunately. And, you know, a lot of times clients think they know a lot more than us. So That's what we're probably dealing with. So I recommend looking for properties that have been on the market for a little while, because those are great opportunities to get deals, and it'll make your clients think that you're just a brilliant agent. So I hope that helps. Okay. Any other questions before we get started to winning the buyer?
No, that was really good info. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so again, I had put this information in the chat. I think I saw Michael Mahoney, the man with the master plan, just join. And I have this information. How you doing, bud?
Yeah.
Michael's, I believe, started around the same time I started at Keller Williams, and he is just a rock star.
Come on now, you are.
Thank you, bud. Okay, so in the chat box is the information that we're going to be going over today. So if anybody needs to grab that, go to the chat box. It should be right there. We are going to get into this. Let's get after it, as Chris Cuomo would say. And let's see what we're rocking and rolling with. Okay, Ignite Power Session number 7, find and win the buyers. In this chapter, we're going to find buyers to work with, qualify and schedule buyers for the consultation, conduct the buyer needs analysis to find the right homes, close the buyer agreement. Awesome. I actually got my first buyer agreement signed that I've ever used. I usually don't use them, but in today's market, and especially because she's in Santa Barbara, I wanted to use that. So anyway. Okay, today's expectations for our cappers in training. We're going to find buyers, qualify, and schedule buyer. We already went over that. That's all good. Okay, action reveal. We did our numbers reporting, which is basically our daily 10-4. Can somebody help remind me what our daily 10-4 is?
10 contacts, 10 people in your database, 10 written notes or emails, and damn, I got closer this time.
Yeah, you sure did. We want to preview 10 properties a week. That's the only one that's weekly and not daily. We want to make sure we're previewing 10 properties that either are hitting the market, have had a status change, maybe there's a price reduction or whatever. We just want to be very familiar with what's happening in our market, and typically the market that we're farming. Okay. Let's see. Let's go on down. Okay, get your head in the game. As everybody knows, my favorite little pictograph thingamajigger is right here. Without leads, we can't get appointments. Without appointments, we can't get agreements. Without agreements, we can't get contracts. And without contracts, we get no payday. So what does it all start with? It starts with leads. We need to be lead generating focused. If we don't do anything in this business, if we just focus on getting leads, I promise you, you will make a lot of money. Because the more leads you get, the more quality leads you'll get. So keep that in mind. Finding buyers is simple. It's not hard to find buyers to work with. They visit open houses and look for properties online through your KW app. Buyers are everywhere at all times, essentially raising their hands and saying, "Work with me." Servicing buyers is inexpensive. Buyers are more time consuming than costly. Apart from the gas that you'll put in your car as you show homes, your expenses will be low. We often call buyers the lower hanging fruit in real estate. So keep that in mind. That said, they will take a lot of your time. Earning with buyers is quick. If you do it right in a great buyer transaction, you can help find that person. You can help that person find a home and write an offer in one day. Working efficiently with buyers is key to generating income quickly. Convert buyer lead to a signed buyer agreement is an important step in the process. Each step of the process requires you to build and cultivate relationship. So what do you think they're doing when they're working with these buyers to go ahead and get them into contract in a day, which I think is a little bit difficult in this market considering how much competition there is, but I'm sure you can find something, you know, within a week or so to get them to be interested in writing an offer. What do you think that is? What process do you think an effective agent is going through when they're working with a buyer to get them comfortable enough to write an offer that quickly? to me, it's managing expectations. When you're doing these buyer consultations, what you're really doing is you're trying to set up a parameters of what their expectations are and what the reality of those expectations are. You know, if you have a buyer who is saying, you know, I have a $500,000 budget and I want a 10,000 square foot house, we've got a big gap to cover. And so that's going to be a long buyer consult. That, or we might have to realize that that person's a cuckoo bird and we're not going to work with them. But what I would like to, you know, say is most people are somewhat realistic. They might be, you know, $50,000 out of a price range, but you know, that's a closer gap that we can, you know, figure out. So for example, what I like to do in my buyer, you know, consultations is I like to be professionally honest about what's happening in the market. You know, I like to go over all their wants, their needs, their desires, what they're looking for. I like to hone in on certain things that might not be realistic. You know, especially if they're looking for, you know, for example, if I have somebody who's looking for a $3 million house in Holmby Hills, which I happen to be working with right now, it might be a little bit difficult. We might need to hold on. Hey, I'm teaching my class right now. Can I call you later? Yeah. Okay. Anyway. The girlfriend. Anyway, so the point is we want to manage expectations and we want to have those buyer consultations and have a full, in-depth, and professionally honest conversation with them. Okay, make it happen. Converting buyer leads. Working with buyers can be fun and exciting, touring houses, and helping them find their next dream home. The process of working with buyers can be refined into 3 steps: find buyers, qualify buyers, sign buyers. So finding buyers, remember, our number 1 job is lead generation. So without that, we're not going to find a lot of buyers. So make sure we're doing our daily contacts, at least 10 a day. I promise you, if you're just walking your dog, you can talk to 10 people a day about real estate. So it's not, don't overcomplicate it. Yes, I do highly recommend getting a, you know, a speed dialer, a Mojo dialer, or something like that. It is a very effective way to get a lot of your numbers up. My dog was just underneath my bed and I didn't know he was there and he freaked me out for a second. Sorry. Anyway, the point is we want to work with as many leads as possible to find those buyers. So the National Association of Realtors 2014 profile of home buyers and seller statistics. 88% of buyers purchasing their home through a real estate agent. 40% of the buyers found their agent through a referral from a friend or family. 12% of buyers used an agent they had used in the past. 9% of buyers found an agent visiting an open house. So what does that say to us right there? Looking at these numbers, what does that spell out to us?
There's a lot of buyer's agents.
Yes. More specifically, though, about these statistics.
That I don't know, that there's always more buyers than sellers.
Sure, that's probably not. That's not always true, by the by. In today's market, yes. So 88% of people who purchase a home are buying it through a real estate agent. That number is a little bit shocking. I think it would be. I would think it would be higher. But that means the majority of people are going to use a real estate agent to buy their house. Now, 40% of those people, they found their agent through a referral from friends or family. Why is it so important to reach out to our sphere of influence?
It's a big chunk of the percentage that's getting referred.
Bingo. Absolutely. So we're always talking about like, oh no, like, you know, I called my friend and, you know, they said that they're going to rent for the rest of their life. And I don't know, it didn't work out. Yes, it did work out. That person knows somebody who's going to buy a house. We want to get that person to be in our referral network. And that the best part about it is they're not another real estate agent. You get that referral for free. You know, if I have Michael Mahoney, you know, give me a referral, I have to give him 20% minimum. He might ask for 50. He might even ask for 70%. I don't know. You're on mute, Michael.
Oh, good. Minimum. Yeah, of course.
Yes, exactly. So my point is, you know, we want our friends and family are going to be a great resource for us in terms of finding potential clients. So remember, when we are lead generating, I often go off of the point of, hey, do you know anybody? Not, hey, do you want to buy or sell? It's, do you know anybody else who's interested in buying or selling or investing in real estate? And I like to do that because I have to be honest, most of my referrals, people that I've received this year are from friends, family, and past business associates. Okay, 12% of buyers use an agent they'd used in the past. Why is this percentage very important?
People that already bought are willing to work with a different agent.
Boom, exactly. Only 12% of people use the agent that they used before. Either we are all that horrible agents, or we're really bad at lead generation and staying in contact with our, spheres and past clients. So the point that I'm trying to get at is with this one, either one, we need to be more proactive in reaching out to our past clients, so we're always remaining top of mind. And also on the flip side, that just because somebody has an agent already doesn't necessarily mean they're going to work with them again. So keep that number in mind when somebody says, "Oh, I work with this person." Yeah, well, according statistically, you're probably not going to use that person again. So keep that in mind as well. 9% of buyers found an agent visiting an open house. This is a mute point for us right now because we don't have open houses. But that also says that out of every 100 people that walks into an open house, you should be able to pick up a buyer. So if you're doing a successful open house in a very hot area, stay on your A game. You might be able to represent that buyer. Okay, so how after all that said, let's have an open discussion. And I want to hear from somebody besides David, even though I love talking to David. Don't take it personally. Davina, how could we find some buyers?
Hi, okay. So I guess another way of, I feel like there are multiple, but another way of finding buyers, one that's worked for me for the one that I'm working with right now, is kind of my sphere of influence and people recommending me. Like you said, you kind of ask, do you know if anybody do you know if somebody's looking to buy a home as well? Like, you don't just ask, like, you ask the people you're asking for to also recommend you. That's how I got the buyer that I'm working with now.
Nice, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Let's get somebody else also as well. Michael, how do you think you could find some buyers? Michael's gone. Okay.
No, I'm here. Hold on. Sorry.
Okay.
You're supposed to be able to press the space bar and unmute. It doesn't seem to be working on my computer.
Okay.
Anyway, I haven't worked on Facebook ads, but apparently people have had a lot of luck with Facebook ads. And that's something that I think that we should also be working on and doing for sure. Aside from, video on Instagram and all that kind of stuff, just the apps, all of the marketing that we need to do. But the Facebook ads is something that I'm going to look into.
Yep, absolutely. Facebook is a great lead generation tool. I like Facebook, I like Instagram, I like all of those things, frankly. The cool thing about Facebook is it automatically has lead forms for when they click on something, it'll have a lead form for them to fill out, which I think is great.
Oh, that's cool.
Captures their information, which is good. And oftentimes it'll autofill, which is really awesome. I would say Instagram is also a really good one when you're doing those posts. Again, I always like to just go onto my Instagram to use it as an example. Instagram.com. I don't think I did any like real estate posts yesterday. I try not to overflood my Instagram account with real estate related stuff because it is a personal account. And I have a lot of friends and family who follow me. And a good way to get them to unfollow you is always talk about business. So hold on, let me see. Am I sharing this? Yeah, okay. So this is like Lily Ponds, which I don't really need that. But okay, so I just made like a little post, miss this place. I was also talking about alien fresh beef jerky. This guy made a funny comment on something, but let's just look at this. 46 people looked at this when I posted this 14 hours ago. That's not actually a really good conversion. I've had better posts. But the point that I'm trying to point out is I'm able to see exactly who looked at that that post of mine. And the interesting thing is if I scroll down, you know, how many people are also the same people who are looking at it. So these are people that I'm noticing are people who are frequently looking at all of my posts, looking at all of my stuff. They're interacting with it. They're not fully skipping it. They're probably clicking through a little bit, you know, frankly. But I'm noticing, for example, Cord Jackman. I made a post shouting him out because he's a fitness guy. He does, you know, he's like a personal trainer dude, but he also owns a house, you know, go figure. He's good with money. So my point is this is a person that I'm going to want to stay in touch with. Erin, she happens to be a buyer who I'm working with. Let's see. Deborah Eden, she owns 3 houses. I know that for a fact. My buddy, Dark Zuckerberg, he works for Instagram and Facebook. He's, him and his wife just had a baby. Let's see. Coralina, that's my ex-girlfriend, but I also know that she just got married and she has a kid, and we're on friendly terms. That's a person I could be talking to about real estate. And Eric Schulman, he's an agent in Hollywood, so I'm able to talk with him, and I know that he has real estate needs. So my point that I'm trying to get at, and David and Grace are awesome people, and Davina and Conley, all those awesome people. My point is, though, is I'm able to look and see who's looking at all of my stuff, and I can proactively reach out to them. And especially if I'm making a post about real estate, for example, let me see, let me get onto my page. So I don't have a lot of comments on this one, but let's see. I need to start making some more real estate posts. So anyway, that is a bad example. I have a couple ones that have done a lot better than that. But let's see. The point is, though, is whenever you're making these posts and stuff on Instagram or whatever, take that as an opportunity to proactively reach out. And it doesn't have to be like, hey, I saw you were looking at my Instagram. Don't do that. Be like, hey, I just wanted to reach out and see how you've been. What's up? And if you just recently made a real estate post or like a real estate chat, like for example, sometimes I'll get on my Instagram and be like, hey, everybody, I just wanted to talk about, you know, some real estate stuff, blah, 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 blah. And let's say it's a minute long, you know, thing that I posted. By the time I get to the end of all like the different segments that I posted, and there's still like 30 or 40 people who have been, you know, watching my entire rant about real estate, there's a high likelihood that those people are interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. And so I'll go ahead and I'll reach out to those people proactively, and I'll just say, hey, just wondering how you've been. What's new? How's your life? How's the kids? How's the family? How's your mom? How's your dad? How's your this? How's work? And then eventually, oftentimes they'll go, you know what? I don't think I'm ready yet, but I think maybe this summer I might be interested in buying. And then that's a great opportunity to cultivate that relationship. So definitely social media is a great way to lead generate as well.
Another thing that I wanted to say was I noticed a lot of agents will ask like the question on their story to get people interacting with them. Yeah. Like even if it's like, which house do you prefer, the left or the right, you know, and then people have to type in the answer. And I noticed that they actually get engagement with that.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. You definitely do. And the people who are engaging are usually very, very interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Very cool. Thank you, David. Doing your daily 10-4 is an excellent opportunity to find buyers and buyer referrals. So again, it goes back down to our daily 10-4. Always, always, always be contacting people about real estate. The more we do, the more opportunities we get to close and get into contract. So always ask. I just want to see if there's any real estate plans coming up that I can help with. I appreciate you giving that a thought. If you do come across someone, will you promise to let me know? And definitely use these scripts. I mean, these scripts are in the real estate book because they work. Some of them are a little bit long-winded, frankly, in my opinion, but they still work. They're really great. Okay, open houses. Oops. Keep in mind, we're not able to do open houses right now, but open houses are a great way to pick up buyers once we're able to do it again. We want to be prepared. We want to know our marketing. We want to know our market conditions. We want to connect with visitors and ask them for their contact information. We want to lead cultivation and conversation follow-up. So whenever we have those sign-ins, whenever we do open houses, we tell them that the reason we want them to sign in is just so we can, keep track of how many people come in and whatever, because, we want to report back to our sellers and let them know how successful the open house was. Now, in that sign-in sheet, what I will do, and this works really well, is I'll have a sign-in sheet. I think I might have it over here. I lied. I don't have it on me right now. Well, oh well. It's in my office. It's in my office at the office. Okay. I need to go get that. Anyway, when we do have a sign-in sheet, wait, I thought I had. Apparently I don't. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh well. Anyway, when I have a sign-in sheet, I will pre-fill out like 2 or 3 lines, so it looks like somebody has already signed in. And I'll put my mom's number. I'll put my girlfriend's number. I'll put my best friend's number. And I'll put down their information. I'll write out their names and I'll fill in all the spots. And you'll be surprised with just asking somebody to sign in, they're going to go to that sign in and they're going to go, oh, this other person put their name, their phone number, their email address, and they're that. And you're going to see them writing out their name, their phone number, and their email address. And that is a great way to do some lead follow-up. You have a nice conversation with them, you're talking with them, and you go, oh my gosh, so unfortunately this house isn't for you. Okay, well, that's fine. Just out of curiosity, what are you looking for? And they start talking about what they're looking for. You grab your sign-in sheet and you go, okay, and you are David and Elise? Okay, David and Elise, great, awesome. You write a little star next to it. You'd be like, well, do you mind if I write a couple notes of what you're looking for, David and Elise? They're like, oh, no, not at all. And you write down 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, or adjacent. And you write all that information in. And if you're really prepared, you might even have those comps of other houses in the neighborhood that are for sale already in your back pocket. And you can go, you know what? Are you sure this house isn't for you? Very much so qualify that. Make sure that they're not interested in the house that you're representing. If they do, in fact, say that, no, unfortunately, this house isn't for us because of whatever reasons, be like, well, okay, just so you know, you pull out of your back pocket, there are these 3 other houses in the same neighborhood that are for sale that are similar to this one, not exactly. And I highly recommend you taking a look at them. They're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even aware of that. Great. Well, listen, I'm glad I was here to help you. So this one is just down the street. If you go down this way, you take a left on blah, 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 and a right on this, and then you're right there. This one's over here. Is this your cell phone number that you wrote down? And they're like, yeah, it is. Great. I'll take a picture of it. I'll get in my phone. I'll type in their number right in off the sign-in script, and I'll send it to them. Now I have their number in my phone, and I saved it under David and Elise looking for a house in blah, blah, blah. I have their number on the sign-in sheet, and I'm actually now able to follow up with them continuously, and then hopefully, write an offer with them for the purchase of a home. So all good stuff. Definitely use open houses as a way to lead generate. Okay, we have a quick video right now. Find the motivated. And we're going to get into that in just a second. Oh, any questions while I'm looking for the video?
I actually have one. So there's a guy that I'm talking to that is moving here from LA, but I'm not too sure. Okay, so he's looking at both renting and then buying, like it's either one or the other. How would you try to persuade them to buy instead of rent?
let's see. So how would you, let me ask you, how would you convince them to buy instead of rent?
Well, like what we were talking about, because it was just it was like the guy from like the hotel, like that, like I had like the connection with and stuff. But I was like trying to explain to him how, renting, it's like you're kind of just tossing your money away each month, and then it's like if you're buying a house, it's like at the end of the day, it's like you're keeping it. So it was kind of like a short conversation, but we're still in contact, but it's like I'm not too sure how to like move him away from like oh, I want to buy a house. Like I want that to be my only option. I don't want it to be like one or the other.
Right. So good point. So you're saying good stuff there. I like it. A lot of those people will go, oh yeah, I mean, great, but what about the down payment? And a lot of people will go, oh yeah, great, but what about, me approving for a loan? So oftentimes I find that that's what the big hurdle is. But the truth of the matter is people are always scared of the unknown. If they're unfamiliar with the process, they're scared of it. So what I like to do, instead of like trying to convince them so much on the spot of the benefits of owning, because a lot of people do know the benefits of the owning, I will use that, by the by. So good job there. But I'll also say, after they go, yeah, I know, but I still just want to rent. Great. So what's your budget for renting right now? And I'll find out their budget for renting. And I'll go, so what if I told you that you were able to buy now, as long as you're able to, manage the down payment, you would be paying a mortgage per month less than what you're currently renting. Their ears prick up. And I go, great. Well, that's the God honest truth. Depending on your down payment, you could very much so expect to be able to purchase a comparable condo to the apartment that you're planning on renting. How about this? Can I have my lender give you a call? They'll have just a quick conversation with you, determine, if it's worth getting pre-approved. And then after the pre-approval process, you'll be able to determine within a reasonable doubt that you can in fact buy. How does that sound? And I'll try to just get the ball rolling to get them towards a lender, because oftentimes, a lot of people I find are not even aware that their financial picture is a little bit better than they think. Especially with first-time home buyer programs. I think Biden administration is trying to do like a $15,000 down payment assistance thing with the FHA loans, or credit and taxes. I forget what it was exactly. So look into that. For example, a lot of these loans you could do as little as 3%, 5% down. You can get a conventional loan with 5% down nowadays. So like, definitely talk with them about the loan structures and loan programs, and that the only way they'll be able to determine if it's feasible for them is to talk to a lender and try to get them to do that. Does that make sense, Ari?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's why he's like a little scared of buying. But
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things that scare me, but you never know until you know. You just gotta go out and do it, and get this done, take care of it. I look at, people treat their financial life very recklessly, in my opinion, sometimes. And they get money and they spend it. They get money and they spend it, and they'd be surprised that just because of their income, they could actually approve for something pretty great. So anyway, have those conversations with those people. Try to make getting approved not such a scary thing, and more of an informational practice. Listen, you might not think that you can get approved for X, Y, and Z, but why not just talk to a lender? They'll be able to discuss with you before pulling your credit, if it's even, worth your while to go through the process. If it's not, they'll tell you flat out. My lender can easily have a quick conversation with somebody, go, how much money do you make? How much do you own credit cards? How much do you own this? How much do you own that? What's your assumed credit score? And with all that information, they can go, okay, if your credit score checks out, and if your debt to income ratio checks out from what you've said, I think this is the next step is for us to go ahead and do the actual full pre-approval process and go ahead and run your credit and let me do a little bit more of a deeper dive. And sure enough, they're surprised. They're like, oh my gosh, I can be approved for a $600,000 condo. Great. I'm all in. So try to have those conversations. That's what I would try to do.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and try that.
I think that's really great
Toad's
information, Jared. So many great things in there, and we should know at least something about the financing so that we can. I mean, the thing about most people don't realize, what kind of financial situation, what a great financial situation they're actually in. Little things. You threw so many of those out just now. The Biden administration, $15,000, 15% down, whatever. So many of these great little things, and it's so great to have those in your pocket to be able to just throw out. And you just threw out a bunch of them, and that was really great. Thank you.
Thank you, bud. Absolutely. And yeah, we're always learning in this industry. The people who never stop learning are the ones that, in my opinion, are excel. So awesome. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
and Michael is a forever student himself.
I'm here.
Hey, Michael, what was that big deal you closed? Was it this summer or last year?
It was. I had a couple of good sales in October.
Yes.
Yeah,
What was the price on those?
One was 7.7 and the other one was 5.3. So 13 altogether. It was a good October.
Good October. And he's still, and so everybody, and Michael's still doing the Ignite classes. He's still plugging in and going away. So always be learning.
Always.
So, good stuff all. Okay, so let's go watch this video real quick. I need a drink of water, so I'm going to step away while the video is playing, and then we'll have a discussion about this video. 1 second as it pulls up.
Jared, I just have a quick question.
Yes. Hold
What
on.
about for people, especially in LA or like West Hollywood area, they don't have, a lot of people might not have stable incomes because they're project based or they're producers, they're actors, so what kind of resources are out there? Like what kind of, because I know they want to see like some kind of stable income over the course of 2 years. So I know there's like, are there certain lenders you work with versus others when you have a client like that?
Yes. So there are some lenders that are doing bank statement loans instead of like, for example, the traditional like income. So if you got enough money in the bank, they might still be able to get you a loan. Now, some of these loans might be higher interest rates. Keep that in mind. So sometimes it might be in their best interest to try to like fix up a couple things in their portfolio. But the lender is the one who's going to really be able to help them. I always recommend May Shalhoub. She's awesome. She knows how to figure out what's what and what they should be looking for, or if they need to clean something up, she'll be able to recommend what that is. I'll go ahead and put her number in the chat box wherever it is. There it is. 1 sec. And then also Derek Vale. He's really good too. He has some stated income loans, I believe, which obviously are very, very good. I don't know. I forget Derek's number. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to put both these numbers in. Derek Vale. 323.
Is everyone in this class new agents, Jared?
No, Michael's certainly not a new agent. And I don't know about everybody else, but I know Michael personally, so that's why I say that. But some people are, some people are not.
Always learning though.
Yes. 2913. So that's Derek Vale's number. He's a great lender, very personable, actionable kind of guy. And then May, who's the person who I've worked with a lot and has always come through on all of my loans, all of my people. She's never let me down. We've had a couple come right down to the wire, but she's always pulled through.
May is great.
Yeah, and it's not to her fault, by the by. It comes down to the wire because, you know, they did something wrong, and it's like, hey, and you know, she had to like help them out real quick. Me. Okay, so I just put 2 great lenders in there. Between the 2 of them, I'm sure you'll be able to figure out pretty much anything. And then if anybody who's in the Newport Beach area, my boy Dat, he's awesome. Hold on. I'm gonna write in Newport Beach area. Dat. Oops. He's awesome. He's very, very knowledgeable. He talks very, very fast. But he's really, really smart, and I love him to death. Good drinking buddy to have too, just saying. If you also like bicycle riding, he goes on like 100-mile bike rides sometimes. Okay, so these are 3 lenders that I highly, highly recommend. Dat Nijgen, he's awesome. He is local to the Newport Beach area and beach cities, all of like the South Bay and all that kind of stuff. May Shalhoub, she's good for anywhere. She's working with my client up in Santa Barbara. Derek Vale, also probably good for anywhere. Derek has some of those non-conforming loans. May also has non-conforming loans. Dat is a little bit more specific to the loans that he offers. They're conventional, they're low income people and stuff like that, but he's also a great lender. And if he doesn't have a loan program for the particular person, he'll refer it out for you. He doesn't make anything off of it. He's just a great guy and a really good lender. So that's who I would recommend for that. Alrighty, so I'm going to play this video really quickly, and then we'll stop and have like a quick conversation about the video, and also pause for some questions. And I'm going to go grab a drink of water real quick. Alrighty.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pollack, and I'd like to share tips on how to find the motivated. What do I mean by find the motivated? Turning a warm lead into a closed client. The first tip is when you find someone, you want to ask for the business. Let's say you're at a party and your friend is pregnant. You can always say, hey, it looks like you need a bigger house. Or you're out and about and you see this big, beautiful diamond ring and not the full wedding ring. You can say, hey, it looks like you just got engaged. Congratulations. When are you buying your next house? And then I always ask, when are you ready to buy? When are you looking to move into your new house? What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next day at 4. Which one would work for you? Book the appointment when you meet someone who's ready to do business. Tip number 3, so now you've got the appointment, you want to pre-qualify that appointment by using scripts. Ask questions such as, have you met with the lender that I referred you to the other day? To make sure that they have their price range in mind when they're meeting with you to buy a home, and that you know they're able to sell a home, or that they're motivated by a desire to have another outcome, like maybe they're relocating or they're downsizing their home. There has to be some motivation level to continue forward with the appointment. Tip number 4, use embedded commands. When you get in front of the people face to face at your appointment, you want to be talking embedded command language, such as, when you're comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, then we'll sign the contract tonight. If you're using that language throughout your hour or half an hour appointment, they'll be more comfortable when they get to the end, and they'll sign that contract, and then you can move forward. The last step is you've signed them up, and now it's your goal to get a referral. When you're in conversation with them on the phone, in the car, at the closing, use questions. Who else do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call today? If you keep saying this throughout the process, you'll find yourself turning more of your current clients into referral business that will generate lots of easy sales for you. So go out there and find the motivated and have a great day.
Awesome. I love that one. So what are some things that stood out? Anybody? Not all at once.
I feel like the main thing that stood out for me was it's like the asking the questions of like the why, the when, and like the who kind of, like asking them when they're moving, why they're moving, or like what the occasion is.
100%. Absolutely. You know, what is your motivation? You know, is it just, I'm just looking? That's not a real motivation. We want to dig a little bit deeper. You know, and that might be a good motivation for most people. But definitely ask those questions. What are some other things that stood out? Anything else that you know, maybe was like, oh, I wasn't familiar with this before?
I really liked how she gave those examples of like looking at like the wedding ring and seeing if they got engaged, or like if somebody was pregnant. It's just like good to get reminded that like those are good reasons to move and to talk about those things if you see somebody in public.
100%. You know, guys, be a little bit careful asking if a girl's pregnant. Could be wrong. But yes, absolutely, 100%. See engagement rings, you know, frankly, I eavesdrop on conversations sometimes. You know, I'm excited that the restaurants are going to be open again, because that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm just sitting outside. You know, I'll have a have a cocktail or something. I like my spicy margaritas, hanging out, just, you know, taking in the scenery, people watching. And all of a sudden I hear from the table next to me, oh, we're just trying to pick a realtor to sell our house. Well, you know what? And, you know, honestly, those kind of conversations happen all the time for me. Another thing that I really like is embedded commands. That is sales language 101. And unfortunately, we don't go over that enough in this class. But if you've ever heard of what bold is, they go over that in depth and in great detail. So oftentimes, like, what's an example I can think of? So you want to sell your house, right? You know, and you're like kind of like subtly nodding your head. I'm over exaggerating right now. But it's like, oh, so you're thinking of selling your house. And I'm like kind of nodding my head a little bit. These are somewhat embedded commands, and it's trying to get people to like agree with you. It's a little bit of persuasion that you're doing. You know, sometimes you give options to people, and when you're giving one option, you're shaking your head no slightly, and then the other option, you're shaking your head yes slightly. You'd be surprised that when you're in normal conversation, you'll know that you're doing it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be super obvious that they're going to catch it. But they don't know that you're doing that, and they actually don't catch it. And they actually were like, yeah, okay. People tend to like to be in agreement. So you'd be surprised at how you can use embedded commands. So for example, like, so when we sign the listing agreement tonight, we're gonna go over everything step by step, but I'm confident that you'll fully feel, you know, excited or confident in my abilities by the end of this listing presentation, and then sign the listing. And so, for example, you know, when we're going in there, we don't want to be like, do this whole listing presentation like, so do you think you want to sign the listing? Never say it like that. She's like, okay, great. So the next step is for us to sign the listing agreement, and you just give it to them, and you'd be surprised. They're like, okay, thanks. Yeah. So, you know, you try to use these embedded commands. I highly recommend looking up embedded commands real estate, and practicing a few of those. So those are also really great stuff. Any other questions or any ahas or anything that they want to, you know, any examples that they've used in their career so far? Awesome. Very cool. Okay, let's get over to, oopsies. What did I do? Here we go. Okay. Here we are. Boom. Awesome. It's all good stuff.
right. Do you have somebody who you practice or rehearse scripts or objections with, or anything like that, to kind of have these things? Because the more you do that, the more it's on the, you know, it's on the tip of your tongue or the mind or whatever. It's forefront in your head, and if you don't do it often, you get a little stale at it. And you're obviously very good at it. So I was wondering if you had somebody that you studied with, you know, that you rehearse with. Like it's a little bit of a performance, and you know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an act. So you know, if you're good at it, it doesn't look like one. But you know, I'm just curious.
So I should, but I don't. I have myself in the mirror that I do it frequently.
Yeah.
And I think my girlfriend must think I'm insane, and my dog must think I'm crazy. But like I'll literally be in the mirror and I'll talk to myself in the morning.
Yeah.
And you know, I even like work on my facial expressions sometimes in the mirror, and like, you know, it sounds vain and it sounds like a lot of vanity. But sometimes I'll have conversations ahead of time, and I'll be in the mirror and I'll be looking at myself and I'll be like, is this, you know, sometimes I'll even rewatch these Ignite sessions just to see how I look on camera.
Yeah.
Not because I love myself, but because, and frankly, when I'm on when I'm on camera with you all, I don't really give a shit how I look, excuse my French. But I'll notice, like, for example, I go sometimes, and I'm like, I shouldn't do that on the camera. When I'm on camera, it looks a little like weird. Like I know it's nothing, but like there's like little mannerisms that I'll catch, and I'm like, man, maybe I could not do that when I'm in conversation.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity.
Yeah, so you know, I should work with people, and anybody who wants to like role play or anything like that, I'm more than willing to, time permitting. I've said that I would do it with people sometimes, and then something comes up and I feel like such a jerk for being like, I'm sorry, I can't right now. But you know, my best thing that I always like to say is reach out to an agent, go out, grab a drink, grab lunch, and just practice it in a fun kind of setting, you know, while you're out and about. You know, that's when I like to do it. And frankly, with these classes, I do it a lot. That's why I love teaching these classes, is because I have an opportunity to, you know, practice the gift of the gab.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah, totally. And that's what these classes are for. And that's why I'm always encouraging everybody to participate, because this gives us an opportunity, and frankly, to turn on your cameras and be present in these meetings, and let people see you and talk with people. So I think it's a great opportunity for all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you for that question, Michael. Anytime you want to work on scripts and dialogues, I'm happy to.
All right, let's talk about that.
Definitely, my man.
Okay.
Okay, so do your market research. You are in the information business. As you are prospecting for buyers, you will be asked questions about the market. Be prepared. This is very important. Absolutely. Before I'm meeting with a client, I'm going ahead and doing a quick market, survey to see what's happening in the market, how much homes are being sold for, what's the average price per square foot. If it's for example, a street like Stradella or Linda Flora or Roberto Lane or Savona, I'm just rattling off streets in Bel Air right now. Those all those streets, one side has a big view. Excuse me. Excuse me. Bless myself. All right. Anyway,
Bless you.
Thank you. One side of the street has a gorgeous view. The other side of the street has a not so gorgeous view. Very little view or none at all. So those price per square foot for those homes are going to be different. If I'm meeting somebody on the non-view side, I'm going to be looking at comps on the non-view side. If I'm looking at somebody on the view side, I'm looking at comps for the view side. And I want to be able to go, well, there's a difference. Somebody who's on the non-view side will be like, well, that house sold for $8 million. I'll be like, yeah, but that house also has a view of the ocean and the entire city. Your house has a view of your neighbor's fence. So let's, talk apples to apples here. I might not say it in that kind of way, but, I'll be like, interesting. As we're aware, this house, has amazing views. It's also been updated. It's actually a new construction. Your house was built in 1950 and has never had a remodel. So, you know, I'll try to like put it in terms that they can understand, and I'll learn the differences between, you know, how much houses are selling for in those areas. So all very important stuff. Okay. Here are some of the things that we should be looking at for the market research. What's available in my price range? I don't think I could afford to buy a house. I'm thinking about writing and waiting until next year. Can you, sorry, excuse me. What should your response be when a buyer says this? I'm sorry. What's available in my price range? I don't think I can afford to buy a house. I'm thinking about waiting until next year. Can you help me find investment properties? I can afford about $1,500 per month for my living expenses, and I'd like to live in neighborhood of a higher price homes that buyer cannot afford. What are some things that we can say to these, you know, I don't want to call them objections, but obstacles?
Well, the first one available in my price range is knowing the market, and hopefully you know the market where they're interested in buying. You can't know every market, but you can have a kind of a good idea. Like Jared, you sound like you've got a pretty good handle on Bel Air, and I do a little bit from last, the sales that I did in October. But yeah, you didn't need to know the area for that one, I think.
Absolutely. For example, it's knowing the difference between homes in West Bel Air versus East Bel Air.
Yeah.
Those prices are drastically different.
Or lower Bel Air or upper Bel Air.
Correct. Exactly. So for example, if somebody has, you know, a budget of 1.5 million and they want to live in Bel Air, I'm going to go, great. You can totally do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at Roscommare. Let's look at, you know, Linda Flora. Let's look at Lower Linda Flora. Let's look, you know, which is actually technically Brentwood, but it's close enough.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of little finger streets. I call them finger streets because, you know, you got a main street and you have these like little tiny like streets that come off of the main street that are like cul-de-sacs.
Yep.
And, you know, you have like little streets like that. And, you know, are we looking at a brand new construction home? No, we're probably looking at a house that was built in like the 50s, 60s, or 70s. And that's fine. You know, there's no big deal with that. You know, some of those homes are gorgeous. They're frankly architectural significance, you know, right now. Mid-century moderns are hot. I mean, woo.
Yeah.
I love mid-century moderns. Frankly, I want to live in a mid-century modern one day. And yeah, I'd probably update it a little bit, quite a lot of it, but you know, keep the structure of the house the same. Put in some pocket doors for the windows. It'll cost me about 20 to 40 grand, depending on the size of the span of the opening, and redo the kitchen all in. I buy the house for 1.5, put in $200,000. I now have a $2.5 million house that I could sell one day. So, you know, these are things that we should know as realtors. I was in construction for like 8 years, so I'm a little familiar with construction costs. So that helps me a bit. Okay, I don't think I could afford to buy a house. What would we say in that situation?
I think well, you can't afford to rent for the rest of your life.
Ooh, I like that one. Good one, David.
That is a good one.
Yeah, you're just throwing money away. You're paying somebody else's mortgage. Why not pay your own? I don't think I could afford to buy a house. Okay, well, have you talked with a lender yet? Have you ever considered living in a condo? And if they're living in an apartment right now and they say no, be like, well, why are you living in an apartment? You know, so obviously they can. Not going to kill them. They're doing it right now, technically. You know, so you know, have those in your back pocket. I'm thinking about waiting until next year. Okay, have you seen what's happening with interest rates? They're at pretty much historic all-time lows, but they're starting to climb. Yeah, but I'm waiting for the price to drop. Oh, really? Do you know how much the price would have to drop to have any significance if the interest rate went up to normal interest rates, which is around 5%? A lot. You know, so we want to know these things. Can you help me find investment properties? That should be always absolutely yes. But we want to dig a little bit deeper when they're talking about investment properties. What type of investment property? You know, a duplex, triplex, or are we looking at a multifamily, multi-unit? Because that gets into commercial. No, not to say that we can't handle some of those types of, you know, properties. We certainly can. But there are some equations that you're going to want to, you know, be very well versed in. Hold on. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. So all of our,
Jared,
sorry.
where do you find like the first time home buyers information? Like Biden just came out with this like 1,500 deal, not, I don't want to say deal, but like I want to grant, I guess, for first time home buyers. Like where is everybody getting all this information from?
The news.
Other than the news.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, yeah, the news. I just get it off the news. CNN. Hold on, Biden, FHA. Hold on, I'm looking for it. Okay. This is on January 21st. The property line, Biden housing plans include down payment help. Joe Biden's campaigns include numerous proposals to expand housing opportunity. Here's what some of them might look like. And it's 15,000, which is a lot more than 1,500. It's hard to afford a house if you're a first-time buyer. The Biden administration has a plan for that, giving first-time timers up to $15,000 to apply towards a down payment. Yep. That's awesome. I might take advantage of that, frankly, because, you know, I'm looking
everybody
at,
should, especially if you're a first time home buyer.
hell yeah. I'm looking at, and frankly, you know, this is also another conversation that I like to have with people. And this is a perfect opportunity to have this conversation with y'all when we're talking about what should you respond when buyers say this. You know, I love newlyweds. They're amazing. They are an inspiration. They have so much joy and happiness and a little bit of fairyland tale ideas going through their heads. And they want to buy their forever home right off the bat. They're like, I want a house with a yard, the picket fence, and I want it all for $500,000 in West Los Angeles. Probably not going to happen. Really, probably not going to happen at all. But that said, if I know that they could go up to $500,000, I might say, listen, where do y'all live right now? Oh, well, we're living in, you know, Sherman Oaks. We're renting. You know, that's how we were able to save up money for our position right now where we feel like we can, you know, maybe afford a home. Great. So you want a nice house and you want to live on the West Side. I hear what you're saying. Question. Have you ever considered, because this is what I'm frankly considering doing, purchasing a condo for less than $500,000 in the Valley, living there for a few years until you get some equity into in the property, and then using that property as leverage to help with your down payment for your forever home on the West Side? You know, these are things that a lot of people don't think about ahead of time. And if we think about what our parents did when we were younger, you know, they bought a house that they could barely afford for $200,000, which is really sad. And, you know, they made it work. and eventually maybe they sold that house and got their bigger house. Once they had kids, they upgraded. You know, a lot of us nowadays, because of Instagram and all this, you know, Amazon, and we want instant gratification. So sometimes we need to reel our buyers in and go like, yeah, listen, maybe you can't afford that, you know, $2 million home right now, but let's say you buy two $300,000 one-bedroom condos in the Valley. One you use as an income property, the other one you live in for the next 5 years. You know, you use the income property to pay off that mortgage for that person. Maybe you're even making a little bit of a profit because rent prices are considerably higher nowadays, even if they have dropped a little bit in some areas. You know, we're now changing the conversation from, oh, I want to buy my first forever home, into let's buy you some investment properties. So there's always an option for people out there.
Sorry, go ahead. I'll wait.
There's always opportunities out there if we are willing to ask the right questions and give up the right solutions, and continuously prod and pry and whatever. Go on, Cindy. What's up?
Like I was talking to one of my buyers about that, because she'd be a first-time home buyer and she lives in North Hollywood and she pays 24 for in NoHo.
That's a lot. In NoHo?
North, yeah, it's for, what is it? 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, an apartment. But I'm like, okay, I know that there's other areas that are undesirable, but I would rather move you somewhere where you can get equity off of this. And then, you know, even you can move back to the Valley in a couple of years. If you're already paying that kind of money, let's get you something that you can eventually even keep also and get rent off of it. But she hasn't called the lender like I asked her to, and when I called her, she's been like dodging me, so I don't know.
Yeah, I would recommend calling her and getting a cup of coffee and not talking about real estate for a day. You know, just so she doesn't feel like you're just hounding her.
Okay.
But then after that, hound her again.
I was thinking about just making that Biden post, like, oh, first-time home buyers get 15.
Yes, I don't know if it's 100%
Especially right now, how they open things up. Like now would be a good time to go get a drink outside or coffee.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
So somebody was telling me that, like, why don't you show her a house before? And I'm like, I can't, because she has to get pre-qualified before I show anybody anything due to the pandemic right now.
Not necessarily. I get around that all the time. And, you know, frankly, I've accidentally slept on sending my PAD out, you know, and, you know, I end up sending it, but, you know, for some reason, you know, it sat in my inbox and I forgot to send it to them. And I still show the property.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, sorry, let me send the PAD out. Don't get in the habit of doing that. That's a bad on my part. Michael, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. Michael's
the thing is, I don't want to show her like a $700,000-$800,000 house, you know what, house, when she could probably afford like a 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know we don't know what she can afford yet.
Right.
So how do you work around that?
You know, I would lead generate for other clients and not put my eggs into one basket.
Okay.
But you know, not everybody is going to work the way we want them to work. There's only a few things that we can control, and it's how we react to certain situations. We can't control other people's thoughts. We can't control other people's emotions. We can certainly try, and we should. But eventually, you're
Dustin.
Yep. Anyway, eventually, we're going to have to, you know, table that person for a little bit. And, you know, that's okay. It's not a big deal.
Okay,
so,
great.
Give me one
Thank
second.
you.
Give me one sec. All right, there we go. I muted her. Okay. All righty. Okay. That was fun.
Thank you. I was
No.
just like, well, now what?
Well, now we just, call our friends, family, and look for others. And definitely make those posts about, Biden's coming out with a $15,000 down payment assistance program. That's awesome. Excuse me. So for example, if I close, hopefully this deal in Santa Barbara, that's going to be over $30,000, to my pocket. That's my down payment right there. And now if I have a $15,000,
Get it.
assistance, that's even better. And frankly, I'm looking at, and this is what I tell a lot of my buyers. I'm a professional real estate agent, and I'm looking at buying, properties. But the properties that I'm looking at buying are not, $1 million properties in West LA. The properties I'm looking at buying are 1-bedroom, condos in Tarzana, 1-bedroom condos in Sherman Oaks and Studio City and whatever. And I'm trying to look for a cheap, well-maintained building. And why do I want to do that? Because I'm going to eventually use them as rental income properties. For example, I know of a building in Tarzana that, because I lived there for a little bit, I was subleasing it from the landlord. When I was living there, I was only paying $13.75 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, which was awesome. And yeah, it was great. I loved it. And it was a good size. It was a really good size. I really liked that place a lot. I just hated the drive into Beverly Hills because that's where I was working. So that's why I moved, down the street from the office. Plus, I'm doing a little bit better in my business now. But the point is I have my eye on that place because one, the condo itself, it's maintained very, very well. The units I know I can purchase right now, it's gone up in value for like $300,000. So why wouldn't I buy that? Because I know the rents now are getting closer to like $1,700-$1,900. That's going to be a little bit over what my mortgage would probably be, including my down payment. So in the first year of owning it, I could technically just rent it out and start making, a couple $100 a month off of it. Why wouldn't I do that? So my point is, to a lot of first-time buyers, it's like, expand your mind of what you think of owning a home for the first time is. Frankly, if you are okay with living in, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment right now. That's my bar. Like, I just need a 2-bedroom, apartment, and I'm happy, So the point is I try to change, not convince them, but, show them why, owning, modest size homes first that are well within your means is going to set you up for financial success in the future. Give me a second. My dog is right outside my door whining right now, and I'm going to go. All righty. So let's get on down because we're getting a little bit behind schedule. Okay.
Jared, I got to jump off. I got a meeting at 12 or at 1:30 I got to prepare for, but thank you so much for all of this. And
Feel it, Michael.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon, bud.
Thank you, man.
Okay. So some things that we're going to want to know about our people is, what they're looking for, school district information, local resources, what kind of markets are close by. These are all good information that we can get. Qualify and schedule buyers for the consultation. We want to qualify them. Are they actual buyers or are they just looky-loos? So for example, Cindy, we don't want to waste too much time with people and put all our eggs in one basket. We really want to sort people into like A clients, B clients, C clients. So I always look at it, money now, money later, money never.
I mean, the thing with me is that I guess I took them more seriously because they were like, yeah, give me the lender's information and I'll reach out.
Right.
So with the fact that they said that and the fact that they said, oh, I want to move in like within next month, I'm like, oh, well, then this needed to be started to get worked on since like yesterday.
Yeah.
So let's get you pre-qualified, because closing now is 30 to 40 days. 30 to 41 days, when back then it used to be 20 to 30, but everything's flying off the market. So let's get going. And the fact that they haven't, it's like, okay, so you're procrastinating. It's not me.
Yeah, and you know, next time you have a conversation with them, you know, just be like, hey, and it's okay to say this. I say this all the time. Hey, you know, you said to me that you want to move in the next 30 to 40 days. Is that still accurate? And if they go, oh no, you know, I'm gonna sign a month to month. Okay, so I won't, you know, try to get you to, you know, do all this kind of stuff. But listen, I am gonna have May give you a call. And again, Cindy, I always recommend have May, the lender, give them a call.
Okay.
I highly recommend doing that, because one, it's another number that they're not familiar with, so they're more likely to pick up. And two, it takes it's one less step that they have to do. You know, May will just be able to go like, hey, you know, just want to introduce myself. Once they hear that it's not some scary person on the other end of the line, they might be more inclined to work with them. So, you know, I always recommend doing that. So,
okay, so should I do that now, or should I wait like until next week to let them
do it now?
Do it now? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
Yeah.
yawning, it's contagious.
Sorry. I'll try not to. No promises. Okay, so when buyers call on a property they saw online or driving by, this sounds like an instant client, right? No. Buyers who are calling on properties often have two goals: eliminate the property or eliminate you. For eliminating the property with a quick call, they want to determine if the house has potential. If it doesn't, they don't have to see it. Eliminate you. Until they are ready to make a move, they want to avoid salespeople. So absolutely, I kind of agree with that. I also don't necessarily agree with that. I've had somebody write an offer off of a drive-by and it worked out. So that sometimes can be a situation. So how do you accomplish your goals? First, by using scripts that give the buyers the information they are looking for on the property, but at the same time, enable you to find out enough about them and demonstrate your value before they eliminate you. Good stuff. Now, our fact, according to the 2014 National Association of Realtors profile of home buyers and sellers, 2/3 of all buyers interviewed only one agent. Big time. I've noticed this. If you can get into a two-way conversation with people, you have a high chance of closing with that person. If you can get the appointment for the buyer consultation, you will more than likely get that buyer. Qualify. Use the buyer lead sheet on the next few pages and available in your Ignite toolkit to guide you through the buyer qualification and buyer lead sheet. Okay. Price, motivation, location, wants and needs, timeline, finances, and availability. So here's the buyer lead sheet. Hold on, I see I got some messages in the thing that I haven't taken a look at. Oh, all good, Angela. You're all good. Perfect. Okay, so buyer lead sheet. You're gonna when somebody calls you about something, you're gonna go, great. So before we get started, let me get a little bit of information. Lead source source or property that prompted the call. You're gonna want that, write that down. You're gonna put the date down. You're gonna get their name, their email address, their street address, their children's names. I don't know about that. I personally wouldn't ask for their kids' names. Maybe you would. Archer, what are you doing? You weird me out sometimes.
Is this in the I know we can print this out, right? Especially this sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the chat. If I will put it in the chat again if we aren't looking at it, because I know I have it on my screen. Okay. So, so definitely try to print this out. I highly recommend using it. There are like, I mean, any CRM that we have will have all this information in it as well. So I highly recommend using a CRM for it, like for example, Command. But also I like just writing stuff in hand sometimes because it helps me remember it a little bit better and save it for myself for easy access. Okay, we're gonna wanna get their home number, their cell phone, all this information. But more important is the pre-qualification questions. Has an agent taken, all right, Archer, here, give me a second. Buddy, do you wanna go on your kennel? Kennel, now, go. 1 sec, I'm sorry, everybody. Archer, kennel, now. Now, kennel. Good boy. Thank you. Okay. We want to get these lead questions taken care of. Has an agent taken you out to shown properties before? Yes, no. If yes, how is it going? Is there anybody else buying the home with you? Will you be living in your home? How long have you been looking for a home? I'm just curious, why are you moving? No worries, Conley. Have a great one. So these are all very important questions that we're going to want to ask. So I highly recommend printing all these out and making sure you have it, because frankly, it's going to give you a lot of information. And the more information you have, the better the picture and the better you can serve them. And so oftentimes when I'm going to ask all these questions, I will start with, now I'm going to ask a lot of questions that might seem like a lot, but it helps me to serve you better. We want to make sure we're framing it in that term, because sometimes they're going to be like, you're just going to use this against me. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to help you. But also we can use it against them. So for example, whatever they answer all these questions, if something changes all of a sudden, we have something that we can refer back to and be like, well, you said that this was important to you, but now you're saying it's not important. Has something changed? And if something has changed, we're going to want to know what that is. But then possibly we might find out that there's another factor that's even more important than what they said previously was important. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Okay, again, Cindy, I think I mentioned this to you before earlier today. The buyer's ability to buy and level of motivation are the two main points you are looking for. Use three simple categories to classify your buyers. A buyers, they are able, ready, and willing to purchase. They will be under contract in a matter of weeks. B buyers, they are ready, willing, but not able right now. Something has to happen first. Get their existing home under contract, wait for their lease to expire, or get the cash from their tax refunds, etc. And then C buyers, they have no immediate need. They have a very exacting situation. For example, if they can sell their property for a specific price or get a house on a street that they have always loved. So we want to qualify all these different buyers into different categories. Obviously, we're going to be giving a lot more attention to the A buyers versus the B buyers versus the C buyers. Okay, qualify financially. We want to know if they're pre-qualified or pre-approved. A pre-qualification letter means nothing. A pre-approval letter does mean something, and it's very important. So we have a couple scripts here. Cindy, if you could help me out on this script, you'll be the agent. I'll be Mr. and Mrs. Buyer.
Okay, let's see. It starts with you.
Yeah, hold on. I just want to make sure it doesn't go into that. Okay, there we go. So right over here.
Mr. Buyer, it's important that you are pre-approved for a loan before you begin your home search. Pre-approval is really just a lender's determination of how much money you will be eligible to borrow.
Cool.
You'll know exactly what price range you can afford. When you find the home you love, you'll be able to take action quickly. Sellers will be more likely to accept an offer from a pre-approved buyer. And finally, you can see if there are any errors on your credit report, and you can resolve them right away. Would you like to have one of my lenders call you to help you with your pre-approval? When is the best time?
Awesome. Yeah. And so, and again, Cindy, even the book says to have the lender call them.
Okay.
Because oftentimes people will put stuff off, put stuff off, put stuff off, put stuff off. But when all of a sudden it lands right in their lap, they're like, okay, I'll take care of it. And so for some reason, it just works out better that way. There's probably some scientific reason. But yes, it's very, very effective. Oh, we're going to have to end this pretty soon. They have a commercial meeting at 2. Okay. Let's get to the important stuff before we go. Okay, so here's some interesting stuff that I like to point out. The A buyers, get them in the car immediately. The B buyers, identify what needs to happen first, then help them achieve their goal. Put them in your database and on an 8x8 touch campaign based on their interests, and keep in touch. C buyers, manage them electronically by putting them in your database and on an 8x8 and then 33 touch campaign. Keep yourself top of mind for when they are ready to move forward. If this buyer lead came to you based on the buyer calling in on a certain property and the home happens to be in their price range, make an appointment for them to see the property and have a consultation. So for example, here's a script. The property on 123 Maple Street is listed for $249,000. Let's schedule an appointment for you to see 123 Maple Street to see if it's the perfect home for you. Would today at 4 o'clock work or Saturday at 10 a.m. be better for you? Great. Let's meet at my office. So while we are out, you can also review other properties on the multiple listing service, and you might be interested, whatever. Does that work for you? Yeah, sure, it does. Awesome, great. So these are a great way to have buyer consults, especially if it's your listing and stuff like that. Okay, buyer referral. We want to make sure that we're trying to get buyer referrals as much as possible. So for example, schedule the appointment to the buyer consultation. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'd like to invite you into my office so we can discuss what you're looking for in your next home and use my MLS to review properties. This way, we can search for homes that fit your criteria. When we meet at my office, we can work together to make sure most of your time, make the most of your time. I can use the tools that I have to find the best matches for you to check for any contingencies and other details that would be apparent from the property visit alone. Are weekends or weekdays good? So yeah, very good. All good stuff. So these are good scripts to print out. So tip, the safe option is to schedule buyer consultations in your office or a conference room in your market center. This positions you as a professional, allowing you to take charge and direct the process. Once you have a buyer in your office, you have a good chance of representing that individual. And also on a safety factor, it's just safer. You know, either an office or maybe a coffee shop or something, you know, would be fine as well. But even more so than a coffee shop, I really highly recommend the office. There's always going to be somebody there. You know, girls, guys, you know, everybody in between. We all have gotten calls from people that are not professional. I remember once I got a call at 2 a.m. from a gentleman who was standing outside one of my listings, and he sounded very drunk and sounded like, you know, do you want to show me this house? Can you meet me here right now? And it was creepy. It was very, very creepy. And then in fact, like that person, we think it was that same person, kept, you know, walking by the listing when we were doing open houses. And I told my partner at the time, I was like, can you stay here? I know you got to leave like for something, but can you stay here? Like I'm a little weirded out by this person. And it was very, very strange. We think that it was like this homeless person. But anyway, weird stuff. I once was doing a lease where this guy came in and he's all like, so don't you want to show me around? And it was like a 1-bedroom apartment. It was the living room, open kitchen, and the bedroom and bathroom were, you know, through the hallway in the back. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, you know, here's the bedroom and there's the bathroom, and, you know, go take a look and, you know, let me know if you like it. And he's like, well, aren't you going to lead me in and show me? And I'm like, you know, actually I'm waiting for one of my clients to get here. And listen, maybe the person really just wanted the whole, you know, dog and pony show, but it just felt weird. So sometimes use your intuition. It's okay to be like, you know, I have to step outside and take a call real quick. The guy just gave me the creeps a little bit. It just didn't seem professional. So anyway, so it happens to guys, happens to girls. So just make sure you're always taking your safety into consideration. And frankly, I think doing stuff in the office just comes off as a little more professional, and it puts the power in your court. So, okay. Let's see. So anyway, so the rest of this is mainly just a buyer guide, which is also important. So I highly recommend taking a look at this. This is also going to be on command. So you'll be able to, like, you know, bring this kind of stuff up and print it out. It'll definitely be good. But right now we're unfortunately running out of time. This was a longer class. We still didn't get through all the material. So I highly recommend, if there's anything that's outstanding, for you to go ahead and take a check of it yourself. But is there any questions before we break? Any, you know, things that, you know, made you think, you know, aha, oh, I didn't realize that you want to share with the class?
This book that we're looking at, or pamphlet, or presentation that we're looking at, we can order it from KW, right? And
yes, you can order it from KW. You can also go to, oops, boom. Here, let me do this. You can also just go to KW Connect. I'll just share my screen. So I have it right here, but if I just type in KW Connect, I go to the home page. It's going to say calendar, training, resources, technology, referrals, membership, growth. We're going to go to training. We're going to go down to KWU.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to click that. And all the information is under the Ignite tab. Scroll down, and then there's student resources. And then also, like Cindy had mentioned, purchase course materials. You can go ahead and click that, and you can purchase the materials. So yeah, this is all good stuff. You have scripts in here that you could buy. So for example, if you want scripts scripts catalog, lead generation, KW scripts, working with buyers, KW scripts, working with sellers, all good stuff. Shift, that's a great book that you could get. Time management with the 411, 6 personal perspectives, win with sellers, win-win negotiations, profitability, lead generation. All this stuff is available for purchase if you want. But then also a lot of the material is for free for the student resources right over here. And you have all the power sessions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions before we go?
Nope.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining. I know this was a long one. Feel free to go in and take a look at it yourself for anything that we didn't cover, but we pretty much did get the most of it. And thank you all so much, and kill it this week. Let's get out there, try to get some buyers and maybe even a listing.
Thanks, Jared.
Yes, sir.
Jared.
Have a great one, y'all. Bye.